People often assume that when a man says, "I love you," it's this spontaneous, effortless declaration, something that just happens. But that's wrong. That's deeply wrong, because before a man can even muster those words, he's confronted by a tremendous psychological weight. The kind of weight that can either transform him or crush him. See, love, genuine love, isn't just an emotion, it's a commitment. It's an admission of vulnerability. And for men, especially men in our culture, that's a terrifying prospect. Because to say, "I love you," is to expose the most fragile part of your being. It's to say, "You could hurt me now. You could destroy me." That's profound. And it's dangerous. Because if you lie about love, if you use it carelessly, it corrodes your soul. You become resentful, bitter, fragmented. But if you tell the truth, you love properly, then you participate in something divine. You're building the kind of meaning that sustains life itself. And that's what most people don't realize. Love isn't just what you feel. It's what you become when you take responsibility for another person's well-being. It's the highest risk, but also the highest reward. So yes, before a man says, "I love you," he's terrified, he's hopeful, he's calculating, he's becoming. Because that moment, that declaration, marks the transition from chaos to order, from the self-centered pursuer to the self-transcendent pursuit of meaning. And if he does it honestly, if he dares to love, well, that's when he stops being just a man and starts becoming something far greater, a participant in the unfolding of creation itself. So don't mock that moment. Don't trivialize it. When a man says, "I love you," understand that what you're hearing isn't just sentiment, it's courage, discipline, and the willingness to bear the unbearable, and that's something worth respecting. Before a man ever utters the words, "I love you," he stands at the edge of something vast, something both beautiful and terrifying. Love for him isn't merely an emotional impulse or a romantic gesture. It's a confrontation with vulnerability itself. And vulnerability, in its truest form, is a kind of courage. It is the willingness to be exposed, to risk being wounded, and to still step forward with honesty and intent. Men are often taught from a very young age to be strong, composed, and in control. Society tells them that their worth is tied to their competence, to their ability to manage the unpredictable, to protect rather than reveal. So when a man feels the urge to say, "I love you," he's entering into foreign territory. It's a moment where control begins to slip away, where the rational mind confronts the unpredictable heart. And that's not a small thing. It's a deeply unsettling experience, because in that instant he recognizes that love is not something he can master, it's something he must surrender to. Before he speaks those words, there's an internal battle, a dialogue between fear and longing. Fear whispers that if he opens up, he might lose everything: his pride, his independence, perhaps even his sense of safety. Longing, on the other hand, urges him toward connection, toward the possibility of something greater than himself. And the moment he decides to speak, to choose love despite the risk, he performs an act of bravery. It's not the loud, visible kind of courage we associate with heroism. It's quiet, personal, deeply human. It's the courage to be seen, because to love is to make yourself known, truly known. It's to say, "Here I am, with all my imperfections, all my fears, and all my hopes, and I trust you enough to see me." That act alone requires a strength far greater than dominance or power. It's a strength rooted in honesty and humility. When a man says, "I love you," he's admitting that he needs someone. And for many men, that admission feels like weakness. But paradoxically, it's the opposite. It's the highest expression of strength, because it demands that he confront his deepest insecurity, the fear of not being enough. That's why this moment carries such profound weight. It's not casual. It's not just words. It's a threshold, a crossing from isolation to connection, from self-protection into mutual trust. And in that crossing, he risks everything that makes him comfortable. He steps into emotional chaos with open eyes and an open heart, knowing full well he might be hurt. But he does it anyway, because something inside him recognizes that love, even with all its pain, is worth it. So before a man says, "I love you," he feels the trembling of his own humanity. He feels the fear of loss, the hope of connection, and the quiet whisper of courage that pushes him forward. It's not weakness that moves him. It's the deepest kind of strength, the willingness to be vulnerable, to trust, and to give himself completely to another soul. Love, when it's genuine, is not simply a feeling that happens to you. It's a choice, a responsibility willingly embraced. Before a man says, "I love you," he isn't just caught in the warmth of affection or desire. He is, consciously or not, deciding to shoulder a kind of moral weight. Real love means taking responsibility for another person's well-being, not in a possessive or controlling way, but as an act of care, as a vow to act truthfully, to protect what is fragile, and to nurture what is good. Emotions come and go, attraction fades and rekindles. But responsibility is something different. It is rooted in decision and discipline. When a man truly loves someone, he steps beyond the domain of fleeting feeling into the realm of commitment. He accepts that love isn't always comfortable or convenient. It demands effort, constant, deliberate effort. To love is to say, your happiness and your pain matter to me, and I'm willing to carry part of them. That is not a light promise. It's a sacred one. Our modern culture often encourages the opposite. It teaches that love is about satisfaction, about getting what you want from another person. Relationships become transactional, measured in what they provide rather than what they require. But that's not love. That's consumption. Love, in its highest form, is about giving more than you take, about caring for someone even when there's nothing in it for you. It's about responsibility, the recognition that your actions now affect another person's heart, and that this bond demands integrity. Before a man says, I love you, he often feels the weight of this realization pressing on him. He might ask himself, can I really live up to that? Can I protect this person from the worst of me? Can I keep choosing them, even on the days when I don't feel like it? And those are not small questions. They are questions of character. Because love isn't proven by the words themselves, but by the daily decision to act in accordance with them. To stay honest, to show up, to sacrifice when necessary. Responsibility is what gives love its depth. Without it, love collapses into chaos. Passion without direction, emotion without endurance. Responsibility gives it form, structure, and strength. It's what turns affection into trust and desire into devotion. When a man embraces this responsibility willingly, he transforms both himself and the relationship. He moves from selfishness to service, from impulse to purpose. And that transformation is what makes love sacred. It's not about domination or control, it's about stewardship. Caring for another life as though it were an extension of your own. It's the understanding that the other person's heart is something you hold in your hands, and that to harm it, even carelessly, is to diminish yourself. So when a man finally says, I love you, what he's really saying is, I'm prepared to be accountable for this. It's not just a confession of feeling, it's a declaration of responsibility. And in that responsibility lies the true strength and nobility of love. Love exists at the meeting point between chaos and order, between the unpredictable and the known, between comfort and danger. When a man says, I love you, he isn't merely expressing affection. He's stepping into that delicate, trembling balance. Order represents safety, stability, the structures we build to make sense of life. Chaos, on the other hand, represents the unknown, the emotional risk, the uncertainty, the possibility of pain or rejection. Love lives right in that tension. It asks a man to leave the safety of order and to enter the chaos of emotional vulnerability, all while trying to create something meaningful within it. For many men, this is an internal battle. Order is familiar. It's the world of plans, lodge, and control. Chaos, however, is unpredictable and deeply human. Love requires both. Without order, it dissolves into confusion. Without chaos, it becomes stagnant, mechanical. When a man opens himself to love, he's essentially saying, I'm willing to walk into the unknown with you, to risk being changed by you. And that's no small thing. It's a sacred act because he's engaging with the very forces that shape human existence. The tension between what is safe and what is possible. This is why love often feels both exhilarating and terrifying. It breaks the boundaries of what we can predict. It throws us into situations where our emotions, expectations, and fears collide. But within that chaos lies the potential for growth. Love challenges a man to confront parts of himself he might otherwise ignore. His insecurities, his pride, his fears of inadequacy. It forces him to grow, to bring order to his inner world so he can meet the challenges of connection with integrity. Every relationship, in a sense, is an act of creation. It's the attempt to build something stable, something ordered, out of the unpredictable chaos of two human lives. And like any creative act, it requires risk. To say, I love you, is to declare a willingness to participate in that creation, knowing full well that failure is possible, that heartbreak might come, but that meaning can only emerge through the attempt. Without risk, there is no transformation. Without vulnerability, there is no depth. So love becomes a kind of spiritual discipline, a daily negotiation between the comfort of the known and the adventure of the unknown. It demands courage to face what's unpredictable and discipline to maintain what's stable. When a man says, I love you, he is, perhaps without realizing it, making a metaphysical commitment to stand at that boundary and to bring as much order to the chaos of life as he can. In that sense, love is not just an emotion, it's a moral act. It's an act of creation, of bravery, of faith. It's the human attempt to bring light into the dark, to impose meaning on uncertainty. When love is approached this way, it becomes not just a feeling, but a force, the bridge between chaos and order that gives life its depth, its direction, and its beauty. Love, when it is real, is not merely something that happens to a person. It is something that transforms them. Before a man says, I love you, He senses that his life is about to change. There's a quiet awareness that this moment will alter who he is, that he is stepping beyond the boundaries of his own self, interest into a realm where another person's happiness, safety, and pain become deeply intertwined with his own. Love has the power to do that, to reshape identity, to turn isolation into connection, and to draw out a strength that lies dormant within the human spirit. For much of his life, a man is taught to define himself by independence. He measures his worth by what he can achieve on his own, his success, his control, his capacity to remain unshaken. But love challenges that structure. It demands that he let someone else in, that he allow his sense of self to expand to include another person. It's not a loss of identity, but an evolution of it. The man who once stood alone begins to see that meaning is not found in solitary achievement, but in shared existence. To love someone deeply is to allow yourself to be changed by them. Their presence, their struggles, their dreams, all of it begins to shape the way you see the world. And this transformation isn't easy. It requires humility because love exposes you. It reveals your selfishness, your impatience, your fears. It forces you to confront who you are when you care about someone more than yourself. In that confrontation lies growth, the kind of growth that no comfort or convenience could ever offer. When a man says, "I love you," he's acknowledging that he's ready for that transformation. He's saying that he's willing to be redefined by the responsibility of connection. It's a declaration that he no longer wants to live solely for himself. This shift from self-interest to self-transcendence is what gives love its moral and spiritual power. It's not just about romance or affection, it's about becoming something better, someone capable of carrying more truth, more compassion, more purpose. Love transforms chaos into meaning. It takes the raw energy of emotion and channels it into creation, the creation of trust, a family, of a shared story. Through love, a man learns to serve something greater than his own ego. He learns that the deepest fulfillment doesn't come from control, but from participation, from giving himself to something that demands his best effort, his full attention, his whole heart. And that's why love is sacred. It is the highest form of transformation available to us as human beings. When a man says, "I love you," and means it, he isn't just speaking words. He's stepping into a new way of being. He becomes more than himself. He becomes part of something enduring, something that transcends time and fear and loneliness. In that moment, love ceases to be just a feeling. It becomes a form of truth, the kind that makes a man not only more human, but more complete.